and they take away 75% of his purse. And for whatever reason, let's say Joe Schmo ends up on my back and he's got grease all over him, and I have a defensive hand in place, and I'm holding on. It's a grip that usually works, but there's grease, so the grip doesn't work, and he rips his hand out with the grease, and he shoots under my neck, and he strangles me. If that guy makes $10,000, or however much money he makes, and he loses 75% of that purse, let's say he loses $7,500, and he goes home with $2,500. The brand recognition that he's going to get and the money that he's going to make from beating me is going to be a million times whatever money he lost because of the fact that he was greased. So you can't just take money away from the guy, because if they use the grease to beat a high-profile name, the purse doesn't matter. Like, even if a guy's making $100,000, you have a little bit of grease, a little bit of juice, and a little bit of stalling, it goes a lot further than you think it should go. Trust me. If you don't believe me, I'm telling you, just grease up with your friends and try to do jiu-jitsu. It's fucking impossible. And then, so it's hard to wrestle. It's hard to do anything from bottom position. And you saw even Penna enter into his legs a lot of times. Look at when Penna entered into my legs. Like, I'm highly sophisticated at extracting my legs from leg entanglements, and Penna had like relatively sticky grips on me. The second Penna entered into Nicky Rod's leg, is like immediately just shot out. Like, it was just like no connection whatsoever. You think Penna's grips just magically aren't as good, or that Nicky Rod is so good at extracting his leg from leg entanglements that he just freed his leg twice as good as me? No, it's because he was fucking greased. And then you have the whole thing with EBI overtime, because now when you have EBI overtime and you're working with grease, when you're on defense and you have to control defensive hands, it's almost impossible to control the defensive hands because the guy's wrist has grease all over it. So now, when you go to control the defensive hands and you're trying to stop yourself from getting strangled, you want one hand to control the defensive hand, and you want to use your other hand maybe to use a hand assist and pull the legs up and everything, but you can't do any escapes because you have to have two hands, like a strong 2-on-1 on the defensive hand. Otherwise, the grease is just going to allow the wrist to slip out and the hand to shoot across your neck. So when you play defense against a guy who's greased, it allows strangles to slip in easier. And when you're playing offense in an EBI overtime, and you're trying to trap hands and use a cross wrist system, you're trying to grab his wrist to control it, to throw a leg over and trap it, and you can't control the wrist because it's fucking greased. And so there's these ways that the grease complicate things that people would never even think of unless it's explained to them. And the internet is just a place where the world's biggest collection of idiots that usually have no voice can gather around to voice their irrelevant, idiotic opinions. And so that's what you get in comment sections. But when you actually think about things like this for more than 3 seconds, just like wearing a mask, for example, you're like, oh, that makes no fucking sense. Well, when you're actually explained how much of a difference grease makes, you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And Nicky Rod has literally admitted on their YouTube channel, like on multiple occasions, that he greases. Like, this isn't even up for debate. And now it's the best because Penna was like making a parody video of it, and then he's complaining about it the whole time. It's like, bro, you don't get the you don't get to do both. Yeah, just absolutely incredible. Nicky just once again gets just exposed as a liar and a cheater. I'm actually going to clip the podcast part. Okay, I got to find it. Give me like 10 minutes where he says that he wasn't greasing. Or he doesn't grease. And we'll be exposed as a fucking liar cheater. And the best part about the whole thing is that Craig Jones trained Felipe Penna to beat Nicky Rod. And that is loyalty.
I honestly wouldn't have even said that if he didn't go after our match be like, oh, this guy's fucking greasing. It's like, you're talking about greasing, which I didn't.
And when he says greasing, guys, he means like people think that there's the meme going around is that you put lotion on.
Yeah, that's his excuse. He was like, oh, he put lotion on me. It's like, first of all, no, never cheated a fucking bit.
a trap. You can never escape your fate.